Hey guys, and welcome. Let me see. Welcome to chapter 5, how to take action, how to get it done, how to create. So last week we talked about creating the vision. So that's the first step to the conscious creating. Well, first, if we went all the way back, presence, and that's just coming to the here and now. And then we unraveled the story of what is not us, what is not real, so that we could navigate new habits and behaviors, so that we can change the neural pathways from how we used to believe and how we used to think into this new trajectory. Like, oh, that's what I used to do, but that's not me. This is what I do now. And then once we know how to do that PUN, we now have a foundation. We now have tools that we can go back to at any time. And we have this skill set, like just on how to live a conscious life of creating what it is that we want. And now we created the vision last week. So you guys should have come up with, what does your future look like? What is it? What is the new you? How does that feel in your body? And now we're going to talk about the steps to make it happen. So if you, I want to open the floor for you to share your experience from the last chapter and then moving into this one. In other words, what is that created vision? How was the experience? Were you able to feel it in your body? Were you able to like tell a story about it? So let me just open the floor. You can unmute yourself. Go ahead, Chantel.
My new vision in creating what I wanted is I got on the ball. I stopped being lazy. It's like I just took it for granted. I came to awareness that I have this nice office that I didn't have before. I got everything set up, the computer, the new internet, and I just still wasn't doing anything. And it was like, why did you do all this? Why did you have, this office built onto your house to have a business if you're not going to be in it? I was like making excuses. Everything came before this. And then you look in the checkbook and there's still no money. And I was like, okay, well, it's time you get busy and you do stuff. So I decided that I want to have anywhere from 5 to 8 clients a week. And so I just started putting myself out there. I'm not big on the social media part, but I did, I'm accepting new clients. I've been posting things on my page. And the morning that I posted, I'm accepting new clients, that night I had someone that reached out to me, and it was at 12 o'clock. I came in my office and we did a Zoom, and I'm just waiting for a response back. And I was like, whoo, already that quick, and I need to be ready to receive. I put everything out there and I was like, okay, well, whatever. If I get something, I get something. And my eye was open that night because it was like, hey, are you ready for this, girlfriend? I mean, the phones are going to ring, the emails are going to come in. Are you really ready? So I had to ask myself, am I really ready for this? And it's like, ready or not, this is what you want. You're going to step into that role and you're going to do it. So it's just an eye opener and becoming aware, presence.
The dissonance of what you wanted and what you were doing were not aligned. Yeah. Because it's fun to come up with a thought and say, I'm gonna get 20 clients, or I'm gonna make $5,000, or I'm gonna become a well-sought coach, or whatever that is. It's easy to say that, but can you feel it?
Mm-hmm.
Can you feel the reality of it?
Yeah, it's exciting.
So much so that you're willing to take aligned action. Not just say I didn't feel it, but can we move into the next step? So I love that you actually went all the way through the process of recognizing that you've said it before, but you weren't doing it. So your vision was already laid. You just brought it back to life. So that's really fun. Anybody else? What was your were you able to feel into the vision of the future, what you wanted? Go ahead, Callie Marie.
Well, I don't know how to say this exactly, but at 45, I went back to school to be a Chinese medicine physician. And I finished at 50, so 5 years. And so then last year, my father was very ill, and I said, okay, I'm going to do my practice just a little bit on the side. I'm also a consultant. So last year I did my little thing on the side, and this year is like I really want it to come to life. And as a consultant, as a planner, I'm really good at planning. I'm really good at getting the office set up and when I played Barbies, it was about putting all the cute clothes on them, getting their hair done, and then I was bored.
Yeah.
So it's about the doing now. And but when you said, can you feel it? What are you wearing? I'm now like, my goal is to get to 20 by the end of the year, 20 patients a week. I'm at a solid 5. Last week I went up to 8. And when I saw the 8, I was like, oh my gosh, I can get to 10. And so I started calling past clients, sending them emails, just saying, how are you doing? And so then, even though they didn't come in last week, they're now on my books for the next 2 weeks. So all of a sudden, I feel different. I feel like I am an acupuncturist instead of getting ready to be an
wow.
acupuncturist.
Nice.
Huge difference. So thank you.
Nice. I love that. So when you stood in the recognition that you're the one who opened the floodgates, and you had that 8, wow, you had an alignment at that moment that compelled you for the next action, which was to reach out. Could you describe what it felt like in your body when you had the awareness of, oh my God, here they are?
Yeah, in fact, I was rereading the chapter last night and I set the book down for a minute because I was like feeling the difference in my body from when I'm in that to when I'm out of that. Like when I'm in fully being, doing, living that versus thinking about that or getting ready to do that. So I still have my times where I feel like I'm going in and out of
Mm-hmm.
the Kelly Marie who is the TCM physician. I still have times where I'm like the old consultant. But another thing I'm working on with my coach, Peggy, is aligning those two things because I'm not giving up the consulting completely. So now it used to be like, okay, over here is consulting and over here is my practice. And now it's like, no, it's all one. It's all one. And so I'm weaving my acupuncture into my consulting. The owners that I work with are now going to start coming to me for their own personal growth and acupuncture and healing while we're working on growing their businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel the difference when I'm locked in and out. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it's that. Well, we like, we're so used to the positive affirmations. You say something, but then you don't feel it and you don't believe it. And then you're wondering why it doesn't come. And so the difference is being able to create intentionally, consciously. This is about conscious creation. And so that if we don't know how to do the PUN, I believe that was the problem for me anyway, is I wasn't getting present so that I can unravel the disbelief, so I can quit acting in the way of disbelief, so that I could create what I was actually wanting to create. So I kept recreating according to the unconscious story. But the PUN unravels the unconscious story in the process.
Totally.
So it's thought that is aligned to a feeling that is aligned to an action. That's the secret.
Right. And the difference for me was I was building up a ton of stagnation and anxiety, and it was all culminating at my 3rd chakra. It was like in terms of physically, I was doubled over in pain because I wasn't able to take these actions to manifest that next step in my life.
Which is your create center. So good. The and being able, like, not being able to see that you could integrate, that we had to be one or the other. I think that's a really big thing. Everything about the integration process and the punchline approach is about the bridge to who I am, or who I thought I was, to who I want to be and I truly am. Like, it's that bridge between spirituality and the material world. It's the bridge between what I've been in the past and what I'm going to be. All of this comes with me. But I feel the material world wants you to throw, dispose, get rid of the painful part of our past, the child problem, that, like, just cut that off, throw her in a ditch, and let's just go forward. Don't ever think about that again, instead of soul retrieval.
And I
all
was
playing on
talking
board.
about it in terms of what I used to do versus what I'm going to do, or what there was no like,
Bridge.
there was no now, there was no bridge. And and then the other side was like, that was then, and this is my future. And what I've been able to effectively do because of this is bring it all into a restructuring of my now.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's also exactly what you just said about what you were and what's going to be. We're living in the past and living in the present. So when we're in the past, we're typically in this regret and this mind trying to figure out what we did wrong, what we could change, what we can do different. And then when we're trying to go into the future, we step into the anxiety and the worry. And
Mhm.
none of life is being lived. The actual true essence of life is not being lived. And actually our entire life is here right now.
Mhm.
And so it's like having two banks and no access to anything in the now. So good. Thank you for sharing that. That was really good. Anybody else want to talk about the last week, your process in creating? Were you able to feel it in your body? Because we're going to go into the how to do that now. So I want to just give the floor opportunity, or anything that came up for you last week about creating the new vision. Did it feel real? Did it feel like it was just something made up? Oh, go ahead, Linda. I see you're on
I wasn't on the call last week, but I did follow through with the steps in the book. And last week, as I was working through it, like I'm kind of like, Chantel, I've already thought this before. I've already made my decision of what my future is supposed to look like. And I thought I had felt into it pretty good. And I guess maybe I did for a time period because I was active in creating it. And then I fell back away from it. And so revisiting this chapter and looking at that again kind of sparked that back in me to like really be able to feel what it's like to be that successful coach and to be able to serve people and put myself out there. And this last week I did have some stuff come up for me after beginning this process. Like I jumped on a call with Danielle and did that interview, and then putting myself out there, commenting more on other people's posts, being active as if I am that person already, as if I am the successful coach. I think it's the first time I ever made a comment on someone's page that what I have to offer will benefit you. Like instead of I think, I spoke it as if I knew it. Like, and then I think the most exciting part of my week after going through this was that when I had my attack on social media, like it didn't knock me down. It was like, oh my gosh, how cool is this? That this process worked so well for me that it was immediately something I felt like, well, let me use this. I didn't feel like I had to defend myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such a teaching opportunity. I get to like share how this work transformed me and the shame, and I'm able to move forward and not let an attack on social media like send me running to hide again. So that was like, I guess like my peak moment that I felt like I'm really here, because it's a tool now. It's an educational tool for me to use instead of like, oh my gosh, nobody's going to come to me now that they see my mugshot on social media. It's like, oh my gosh, look at this. This is my testimony now, and I feel like it just keeps getting brought up and keeps getting brought up. But this was the first time it was like, I felt so secure and strong and confident, regardless of my mugshot on social media. It was amazing.
Yeah, like to really turn the light on that shadow. And it's interesting how, and I don't know if the rest of you witnessed this, but when you create that vision, that higher vision of yourself, and you feel into it, like we get that mirror from life of our unconscious fears that are still there, that's saying, yeah, right. Hey, right. And we attract that, but it's the gift in order for us to clear it so we can move into the how. So in other words, you weren't able to move into the how because in your intellect, in your mind, in your unconscious, you were fearing this would happen all of this time. And so then when it does happen and you have the tools to be with the worst case scenario, it's the same thing what we did last week when we went into the work, or I think it was last week, we went into the worst case scenario of the feelings. Like the worst thing that can happen is you're going to feel something. The worst thing that's going to happen is that you're going to have a sensation in your body of shame, right? Of littleness, or maybe the bigness is even what brings on the shame, but something, the exposure of the shadow is what we fear. So really listen to this. The exposure of the shadow is what you fear. That's it. It's just the exposure.
And I think the most amazing thing about being exposed was I thought it was going to feel terrible, but it was relief.
Yes.
It was relieving for that to be out there. I didn't have to wait for that other shoe to drop anymore. It already dropped, and like there was no negativity about it. I mean, I had my few people that were negative about it, but like there was no ban on my massage business. There was no ban or boycotting on, you know, like the big fear was like not, it didn't come to fruition. It was just a relief of, I don't have to hide from this anymore.
Right. So the reason I brought it up is when life does deliver the mirror for you, the gift for you, if you use these tools and not go back in the closet, not put the covers back over your head, and we're going to go through the exact steps. That was good. Of course, right on time, right? Anytime you open up to a program or a lesson or a study, we say yes to all of this, to the exposure. Because otherwise, without that exposure, you would have stayed stuck here possibly for years. How many of you have had the vision for years? Pray for the exposure. You have the tools. You have self-healing masters to support you and hold you. You see others in the group right now. We're all holding each other, including the leader. It's like, hold me too. I'm doing the work with you. Anybody else want to share before we move into the how-to steps? Candace, Susie, Christy, how the create part was before we move into the what to do with that created vision.
I'll share just quick. I don't know if I was bragging exactly, but a couple weeks ago in this very book club here, I was like, I use the punchline approach and I just like never get depressed ever. And oh, depression is so awful. It sucks, but I'm happy all the time now. And talk about like, I got hit with such depression that I haven't felt in years. I mean, I'm still a little like, Lord Jesus, help me. I mean, it was bad. And I'm still like, where the hell did that come from? I thought I had long, and it knocked me bad, as you know. And like you're sitting here talking about the gift. Well, you know, and then I had some other gifts, and they're gifts that I would rather not receive, to be honest. I like my gifts to feel good, you know, and to come in pretty pink packages. Everything I like is pink. And some of the gifts are like shit, real shit, hard shit. I'm sorry. I wish I had a word worse than shit. So anyway, I just want to say that like, I like putting myself out there as like happy and fun and smart. And I just like, I think that those unconscious beliefs, thank God I have you guys, because that gift of that little bout of depression might have like put me over the edge. I mean, not really, because I have kids, I can't go anywhere, but you know, it just sucks. It's awful. And so, you know, I think it was Monique, her coaching, which used to annoy me. I love you, Monique. It saved me. I mean, I was just rereading. I've been with Kim for a year, so I was rereading notes from a long time ago. So much good that I wasn't able to receive because I was whatever. And you said in there, a coach must believe that thoughts create feeling. Must. And I like highlighted it and capitalized it. You must have emphasized that. A coach must believe. And I never believed that because I'm highly sensitive and depression was so strong. I never believed that I could think my way out of it. And I thunk my way, like Monique's coaching and your coaching helped me. I changed my thoughts and I feel better. So it's kind of a miracle. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Mallory says, I love this, this version of Susie.
Hey, didn't you like the other version of me?
Exactly that though. You stood here in
I love
bold
all
courage.
versions of me.
She says, this is the real Susie. You sat here in bold courage and you claimed victory. You claimed healing. And so whatever residue of disbelief was there, same thing with Linda. She claimed, like, hell yeah, I'm a relationship coach. And yeah, I've been married 4 times. That's what makes me a damn good coach. She claimed it. And if I tell you, I saw the text, I saw the things coming at her, coming out. That wasn't enough to take it to social media, create a fake account, and then put it out there again. Like it was like a mugshot for real. And you know what it did in our group was it made others say, yeah, there's probably one of me somewhere, and there's probably one of me somewhere, and oh, I kind of had that too. And so like being able to celebrate humanness, like I swear I'm on a mission to demystify humanity. Like, hell yeah, we want sex. Yeah, we want to feel good. Yeah, we want to cuss. Yeah, we want to eat bad shit. And sometimes we want to get stupid drunk to check out of this fucking world. Like, yeah, all of that is human. Yeah. So what? And then we can be graceful and compassionate and soft, and loving. Oh, all of it. We could be mad and enraged and like all of it. That is the human experience. And if you're not experiencing that, you're missing the boat. Your soul jumped into this bodysuit to feel those emotions, to feel that experience, all of it. We didn't sign up and say, I'm going for the good stuff. Instead, we made a deal with each other. Like, yep, I'm going to be there. And I'm probably going to be the one who's going to trigger the shit out of you. Love you. See you down. See you down below. Right? Like really tapping into the messiest part of humanity and tasting joy in the center of the heart or in the solar plexus where we create. Like that's where the rainbows and the visions and the whatever it is that we want to bring forward that hasn't been brought yet. Of course it's going to be hard. We're thought leaders. We're on that. We're bringing in stuff. Whew, that was good, Susie. It was one heck of a couple of weeks for you. I think everyone here can witness that. And yet here you are, next level, just peeling that onion. Candace, did you want to share before we move on? I think Christy's at work.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. I have a new headset with a mic,
Ooh.
a whole different ballgame. So my book is getting ready to launch next week. And I think it was Linda who was just speaking before about kind of that unveiling of herself publicly in a way that maybe we don't always want people to see us, or we don't believe people should see us. And what my book is about me, and it wasn't supposed to be about me. And so now as we're putting the final, it's getting uploaded, it's going to go into pre-sale. And I'm like, why did I do this? I can't. And that self-doubt, that self-judgment, all of those things are coming back. And it's feeling, I can feel it. It's like my whole, my esophagus, like it just shakes, everything just shakes up to here. And then it's that, but wait a second, these are the stories of real life that may help other women along the way. These are the stories of what happened in my divorce and how I reacted and how I laughed some of it off and cried some of it off and almost gave way to the darkness to have, to launch, to jump ship too. Then it was the thoughts of, well, am I good enough to share this? Am I good enough to have done this? And as I've launched, I bet for those of you who don't know, I worked in corporate for 20 years. And for probably the last 6 or 7 years, many people have said, you should do your coach. You do coaching inside corporate. You should do it on your own. You should launch yourself. You should keep doing your own business. Well, I finally did it and I launched and I officially put it out there. And of course, then that shakiness kept on coming back. Oh, am I good enough? I don't know if this is the right thing. I don't know if I should do it. And to be able to recognize it and to be able to breathe through it and to say, nope, this is the right thing. This is right for me on this journey. And it doesn't necessarily have to be right for anybody else. It has to be right for me right now. That's been helpful. And so through kind of the PUN, putting myself back in that space has been incredibly helpful.
Could you share the vision of the published author and coach with us? Like, what does it feel like?
Oh, gosh. So the vision for a long time has just been to be independent. The vision has been to be free. The vision has been to not have to feel under the thumb of whatever corporate says I should do in a certain day or in a certain time, or how I should look and what I should say and the words I should use. And I played that game for many years because it offered me and my family security. So the vision was to be free. The vision shifted into doing sales coaching, because that's what I did for many years in corporate. I worked with our sales reps and coached them to higher levels and accountability. Then the vision shifted to women need more. Women need empowerment. Women in this, even in the sales world where I'm familiar, don't make as much money as the men do. And as much as we say, oh no, you have every opportunity to make the same, it's not always the same because the rules are different.
It's
the
like
culture
football and
is different.
soccer, right? It's like bringing that
exactly.
Yeah.
So the vision now is that the book is a grand unveiling of the truth that is modern day womanhood. Divorce, parenting, it is corporate, it's finding self. And as you know, and I now know, I'm a reflector, so it makes perfect sense, even if it didn't make sense while I was writing it. So the vision is to have that and to help empower women through coaching, whether it's in sales or anything else, to stand in their truth and to live authentically and to reclaim a sense of power and joy.
So good. I love that. And for those who are watching that don't, like, I love human design, and I use human design on all of my clients and have for years, some form of either birth charts or human design or like whatever, because I want more information than what they're telling me, because they're telling me the stories, like Mallory just said, we like, Susie, we don't want the old stories. We want you. She's like, we don't want that version. And it's that for all of us, we all have a story that we tell that is an illusion. We all have a story that we tell that's not the true essence of who we are. It's the conditioned self that we've been taught that we are according to our placement in the family, or the name we were given, or the place that we live, or she's like, I don't want my own stories either. None of us do, right? And then we, come into the recognize that I am not my past. I am not my story. I am not my partner. I am not my body. I am a part of the consciousness is a part. My body is a part of that consciousness, the consciousness with the soul essence, with the mindset, the understanding, the intellect. Those all together are the consciousness that we are reaching for. But when we give it all of the credit, we have to be what happened to us. We have to be what the world labeled us as. Done. Because when I saw Candace was a reflector, I'm like, what? Come on, baby. Now we got 2 reflectors in our group. So fun. I'm like putting them in the center of the group and like reflecting for us, such a huge role we play. And, just to connect the dots before moving forward, Chantel said this too, like she was just waiting. But Chantel is a projector, right, Chantel? And so she's waiting for an invitation. And so I remember when you came into the training, I invited you and you said yes. She had been waiting for the invitation of what's next for me. She was pastoring a church. She was already helping people. She was already helping with addiction. She was already helping with depression. And, she was already in that world. She just didn't have that platform for it. And she was like, oh yeah, that'll fit. But she had been waiting, and she could wait forever waiting for that invitation. So all of you recognize people in your lives that are mirroring, and you're seeing such greatness in them that they're not seeing, that some of them are waiting for you to witness it. Some of them are waiting for you to acknowledge it. That is what we do for each other as humanity. When I say, yeah, we can all have pleasure and passion and joy and ooze and essence, and we can feel all of the yucky stuff and the great stuff, I give you permission because I am claiming it. And that's what, same thing you're saying, Candy, is when you claim your own growth and your own becoming yourself as the reflector. I'm like, guys, you're like Buddha in a body. Let's do it. You should be here for it. We should be playing with this. Like, we've got such greatness in front of us. And so my recognizing it in you, and that reflection back also helps me to recognize that there's an invitation inside of me also. And when we can see that we are selfishly holding that true identity of ourself, when we do that, we are taking it from the world. We're taking it from the experience. We are here to contribute as the soul essence that we are, not as the brain, not as the money maker, but as the essence that we are. That is our job, our role, to serve as that. The reflector, the projector, the manifester, the generator. Like we all have, like, and that's what I love about our group is we get to play our actual role. It's not what the world said, but it's like, I was like, hey, what did that say? Let's get there. Where is that part of you at? And they're like, well, I don't know. I used to think that when I was a kid. I used to feel that. That makes sense. And we're like, bring her up. Let's bring her on. And that's part of this creating. Are we going to create from what we've been told? Because Mallory tried that. She created the job, the safe career. She became a physical therapist. She did everything that she was supposed to do. Candy did everything she was supposed to do, 20 years in corporate. Susie stopped her career and became the mother. She did everyone did everything that the world told them to be. And then what happened when you got there? And I wish Peggy was here because she's such a big part of this conversation too. She held the space for me and gave me permission to step into all of this crazy talk. Because I was crying, literally crying on the floor, and she was catching my tears with a cup, blessing. Like, we want it. We want to hear it. We want to know it. And I was like, hell no, it's not safe. Every time I come out, every time I'm free to express, every time I share, people leave me. They leave notes on my door saying, you think you're better than us. You don't belong to this family anymore. They shut that down. They close the door and don't want to hear it. Wasn't safe. Wasn't safe. And I know that recognizing that in myself, that it's also happening in other people. And so we recognize it for each other so that we have permission to create. We have some chats going on here. I turned my stories into fun and dramatic. A one-woman show. Susie did this. She has a one-woman show. Is it on YouTube? Did you upload it yet? If you want to listen to her. Okay, so this is going. I'm going to be part of your how-to. So we have authors here. We have people who have created shows. We've got some amazing story here that's waiting to be put out there. Stories are our source material. We can, of course, rewrite them. Yes. Invitations are very important for people who struggle with self-doubt. Agreed. Yes. Chantel's like, yes, I agree. Please invite me. Please invite me. It all fell apart. I had to transform to rebuild something new. Yeah. She did exactly what she was supposed to do. She was like, she made the grade. She got into PT school. She did all of the things, right, that she was told that was supposed to be the safe way to do according to someone else. But Mallory also, she's a 3-5. And so her role here is to figure out what doesn't work so she can figure out what does work. And that is what she contributes to the world. That's what she contributes to us. And so for her, she's helping holistic wellness entrepreneurs learn how to market themselves without shame, like how to boldly put yourself out there, your magic out there, like especially when we're talking about self-healing and acupuncture and like energy work, those things, those holistic approaches that we have so much shame about, right? Because we don't have the label, we don't have the Jesus robe. Who says we can do that? We shouldn't charge money. All that crap is running in all of our heads. Whether you're from down here in New Orleans, where it all began, the woohoo scary stuff began, or way up there in wherever you are, it doesn't matter. It's actually part of this unconsciousness that has seeped through humanity. It's part of our story. I got a message from a close friend. I like what you're growing into. Just don't turn into Dana. This is another woman we went to school with that moved to Australia, lives a very natural spiritual life. So there's already a limitation, right? Yeah. Don't go that far, Linda. Don't go all the way. Yet you're a 6'2", and for us, it's all about naturalness. We're role models of natural humanity. We're role models of all of the stuff. And of course you would be told not to go all the way. Being a Dana sounds awesome. I think, yeah, we should, what's the other one? We should be Karens and Danas for sure. We should be very safe and turn it all off and just be what the world told us. Okay. If anyone else has something to share, if not, we're going to move into the steps of the how-to. That was awesome. Did anyone have trouble stepping into the bigger vision and feeling it? For me, I'm like the little kitty. I was very, very afraid to step into. I feel like this is like so much bigger than me. it does not feel safe. It feels like it's outside of the box.
I feel like it's something that like I would like to practice doing on a regular basis. Not like do it like I just did it while I was going through the book, but like come back to it and like redo it, refeel it, because there are moments where you get busy with life and you stop feeling that version of yourself. And right now for me, it's easy to come back to that, but sometimes it goes farther and further in between feeling that. So I think for me, like coming back and revisiting, going through those steps and feeling into that new version of myself would be beneficial for me.
Yeah, I love that. And luckily it's where we're moving into. Love that. Yeah, we for sure. I spend an hour every morning being her. That's who I journal with. That's who I walk as. That's so that's something that you guys may think of is I contemplate on the vision. And I do the, you know how we do tattering? I do that, a trying and assessing and tweaking like every day with it. Like even like, what are the parts about it that feel, like I feel afraid when I say that or do that. And it's like, well, what if I did it this way? Like, and I take myself all the way and then I feel that fear. If I did do it, I experience it and then I come back. Because if we're willing to feel what we're afraid of, what else is there? There's nothing else to stop us if we're willing to feel what we're afraid to feel. All right. So let's move into the how-to. The very first thing is to choose the vision. Consciously and unconsciously. I choose to experience it in the here and now. And when you feel it, you are it. Like, guys, you have to know the importance of that. Just like what Susie just said, if you don't believe that your thoughts, they have power, guys, you gotta start there. So when you choose the vision, you feel what it feels like to be her right now. So you're choosing it consciously and unconsciously. And then it's not enough just to choose. Exactly what Linda just said. You commit. And you continue that committing every single day, and maybe several times a day. I choose, I see it, I feel it, I experience it now, and then I commit. I call this the non-negotiable. No matter what happens, no matter what mugshots they are flinging around on Facebook, no matter what whoever says, no matter what he does, no matter what, I am committed. It is done. I committed to this many, many years ago when I was in my deepest, darkest state of depression. And I knew that this suffering was not done in vain. I knew that there was something that I was going to evolve beyond. Just like Susie says, if I figure this out, I'm going to spend the rest of my life teaching it. I had that moment early on. And so that is my non-negotiable. I'm like, no, I already committed to it. I already said, this is it. I'm committed. So then once you choose and commit, cultivating. So Linda, this is a lot of what you're saying. Cultivate is being her now, not waiting until the 10th client, not waiting until the $5,000, not waiting until you have the validation and confirmation. You actually become the validation and confirmation. And you're already experiencing this in the quantum field because you've already felt it in your body. Your brain does not know different. So when you can like put that vision out on the stage, you can see her, you can dress her, you can see her car, her family, her people, whatever it is. If you're looking to create a more intimate relationship, you can see yourself in that partnership now. You can feel what it would feel like to be connected on that level. You can feel what it would feel like to be in that BMW or Corolla, whatever it is. You feel yourself being in that now. What does it feel like when you are safe financially, physically, emotionally? The Tesla, it's fine. It doesn't matter. What are you comfortable in? I tried a few things and I'm just comfortable in a Yukon. It just works for me. So be what you're comfortable in and dress in what you're comfortable in. For me right now, I'm super comfortable in something light, long, and layered. yet. I'm turning on this something new that's not comfortable for me. So my new vision is to become comfortable in the vision first. Does that make sense? We create it ahead of time because we don't have all those objections and obstacles. We only have our unconscious against it, right? So we do it within it. We sell ourselves first. That's that cultivating. We become it now in the safety of a community who can support us at that level. Like that's what I love that about the self-healing masters is everybody is already in, like we're already treating you as that person. The environment supports it. Oh, I'm getting a hot flash. Just so the cultivating is the actuality of the non-negotiable. You're already here now. You're already experiencing it. You're already feeling it. And so now you're already attracting it. So it's coming to you. And as long as you keep choosing, committing, and cultivating, that's the next step, continue. As long as you keep continuing the process till you create it. That's the simplicity of the how. So I choose, I commit, I believe it so much so that I am it now, and I continue those steps repeatedly. When you fall into disbelief, you go back, get present, unveil the unconscious, dump, write, coach, express, whatever it takes for you to say it out loud so you can have that mirror. That's the unveiling, that's the unpacking. And then you're navigating at that time and space is not to believe the disbelief. And come back. You want to change the trajectory and you want to come back to belief. Then you come back to the vision, feel it, choose, commit, cultivate, continue. Can you see how it all folds together? That's the solidity of the package. That is the process. That is the how-to for you guys who are like, but tell me how. I know all that already, but tell me how. Tell me how to do it. Tell me how. I want to know how. Could you tell me how? That is the how. The punchline, like that is the how. Next week, we're going to talk about the results. That's the line, living your life's legacy as an integrated being in your natural essence in ease and flow. This is the how to get there. Floor is open.
Kim,
Yes.
can I just say, I'm one of those people, I always want to know how. Okay, so choose, commit, cultivate, continue, coach, support. But in all of that, when you were talking about the belief, I just think it's really important to mention, because I enthusiastic and I love to share. I think it's important to note that when you're just have baby beliefs and you're just growing them, I think it's important not to share them with people who don't support them and believe in them. And because you're just asking to have your beliefs shot down.
Yes.
I think it's important to, a part of cultivating is protecting them and giving them a safe space. And I love to share. I don't want to wait. It's like, I got a really good secret. Guess what? I'm going to be a millionaire. Well, don't be telling that to my husband. He's like, oh, yeah, where's the check? So, no offense.
Yeah. Or Linda's friend. Linda's friend, right? Or Linda's friend that said,
yeah,
hey,
there's going to be like, yeah. So I think it is important to cultivate. You need an environment that is rich and fertile and supportive of your beliefs. I think it's really important to know that for yourself.
Yeah. Can everyone else relate to that? That's the, what I'm saying is like, I think that was so as a generator, I'm a responder, I respond. And that is like when we would go to retreat, when we had a retreat, there was always that closing ceremony. And then there was always this follow-up in the group, right? Because I was like, when you leave this retreat, you will think that everyone else wants to know what you just experienced, and they have no idea what you just experienced because they were not here. And you are basically throwing diamonds at the swine. I think that's written in the book. Like you throw out your dreams into the mud and you expect them to cultivate there. They will not grow. They don't have the capacity to grow it with you. They don't have the belief. And this is what we do. Mallory, this is something you got coaching on recently, is we throw all of that beauty, all of that essence out there, hoping to get confirmation so that we can feel confident. It is a set up. Unless you're in a safe environment. And that's one thing about the responding. I feel like Self-Healing Masters is that safe environment where you are already her. We pull your chart, we pull your identity, we pull your visions, we pull your childhood, we pull everything in there. We integrate all of it together, and you are supported as the visionary of the becoming, of the creating. So I love that you said that. I'm right there with you. I think that safe environment of, you already know who's, this is the crazy part. You already know who doesn't support. And that's the first one you want to go and convince. What is that? It's like our consciousness, our unconscious attracts that in order to say, are you sure? Are you sure you're going to believe it? Are you sure? I'm not so sure. You better not be too big. You better not be too much. You better not grow too fast. You know what happens. Don't you believe that? Oh, don't you get used to living on that money. You know that goes away. You know it's only temporary. You know that only lasts a little while, right? All of that stuff. Anybody else have something to share about that? Feedback for what Susie just said? Or your experience? I think it's important. The world wants you to stay as you have been so that they can feel comfortable, so that they can know what to expect. Have y'all ever thought about this? I've really thought about this. Deleting your whole Facebook account, creating like a whole new. Because how many times have you gone to post something and share something and you think about the friend from high school, the kids friend, like, and it stops you. Like I tell my coaches this, I started playing a game. Like I can't even talk to those. They're not there. First of all, they're not clients. They didn't come in. They're not here. So literally they can't see. That's what I tell them. They can't even see my posts. I don't even know who they are. I don't know where they're at. And I completely blocked them out. And then I just went forward with this vision and sharing with people who can receive this message. And they're literally the only ones who can hear it. That's what I tell myself. So if you see me posting the ooey gooey, because I've been told many times that I am sappy. I'm too sappy. She's like a counselor. You know how she is. She's counseling them. Like always talking about the feelings, the emotions. She's so, like you've ever heard, I've always heard that. So of course it's too much and it's too deep. And then now there's a container where there's actually no end to the depth, to the deepness that we can go. A space that we can be ourselves in. How can we take that experience and step into the material world with it? Like Kelly Marie was saying, how can we, because it's great and comfortable here, right? Even though this is public, everything on social media is public, right? Even though this is public, how can we take this, what we're learning here, and bring it into the material plane, which by the way, is my human design cross. That is my role in life, is to take people into growing and evolving and experiencing the depths of the material plane, how to materialize your hopes and dreams and wishes. So I feel like it's this bringing down of this fifth dimension, third dimension, this here and now 3D world, and then this visionary world, and then being the bridge, integrating all of it, not throwing our past, not being the story, but not throwing the story. Anybody? About 10 minutes.
I feel that loneliness comes over me. It's like whenever you accomplish something or you achieve a new goal, it's like you're all alone in this little bubble. And it's a feeling that I don't like to have. Like whenever I pastor the church, I'm up there and there's a whole bunch of people, but I feel I'm just all by myself. And whenever I join with you, it's like we have this little family, and I never feel alone when I'm in here with y'all. But like when I'm behind my desk and I'm posting things, I just feel like I'm all alone, fixing to get exposed, and they're fixing to come and kill me or something. it's just a lonely, lonely feeling. I just wish I could overcome that. And I think I can get further where I want to be at.
I can relate to that, and I'm going to give you my take on it. And this, I'm not saying that this is legit. I don't know. I'm just going to tell you my experience, my personal experience. So when I was stepping into the, like, I'm going to start doing Facebook ads. I'm going to talk about this integrative coaching that I'm doing. I'm going to and it's totally different, right? And so I kept literally looking over my right shoulder. I'm in the patio, glassed in room, looking under my carport, waiting for the cops. They are going to arrest me. And I felt like it was the medical system and religion that was going to come at me, because what I'm teaching, what we're sharing, what we're doing is really about healing on all levels. And so we have to heal the religious dogma. We have to get off of the cross. We have to quit the self-sacrificing. And you'll hear, we hear this here. There's a pastor, like, yoga is wrong, meditation is wrong, mindfulness, all this, life coaches, you don't need life coach, you have Jesus. Like, it's just like all of this is like a sham. And it's like, that's what's taught to the people in the South. I don't know about anywhere else. And then in the medical system, which I have amazing friends in, but they are tied in by this certain, it's illegal for them to say certain things or do things. Kelly Marie, you maybe would relate. I know Mallory can relate. Christy is also in education and corporate. I know she can relate. And so I felt very dangerous, for even towards myself. And what I realize is that we all have divine consciousness running through all of us. So if you imagine the electricity in the wall is consciousness of every being that has ever been. Jesus, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, like just every being that has ever been. And I say this in the way that the stories that we have heard are now reality for us. The fear, right? I can't watch anything with the crucifix. I can't watch anything with the color purple and the black. I cannot. It's too painful to myself. Like, I can't do it. And so we all have an interpretation of that fear, right? If you speak out, if you become, you are unsafe. So think about it in that way, that we've been imprinted through hearing these stories and through this consciousness. Imagine it's running through the wall. And then we are like a string of Christmas lights. Okay. And we're going to plug in to the wall, and we're going to bring that electricity through the wire. And each of us are a bulb. Each of us are an expression, a shape, a color. Some blink, some stay, some are tall and thin, some are round like pine cones. But the consciousness, the electricity that runs through it is that divine consciousness. That it is that is all. We are just an expression of it. So of course, there are samskaras, there are memories, there's etching and cutting in the energetic body, in the cells of who we are. There are wounds, there are scars. And so if we don't recognize that, then that will feel like it's about you. So the way that I understood it is, so I was doing a session with someone and Joan of Arc came up, and I was like, who was Joan of Arc? Y'all know, I don't know any kid shows. I don't know any of that stuff. And so I started reading on Joan of Arc, and I watched a documentary on Joan of Arc, and I went to Sedona and I got a stone. I was like, I feel like I have a message like Joan of Arc, and I'm so scared. Like, they're going to burn me, hang me, beat me, whatever it is. So I need something to latch onto. When I'm feeling doubt, I just want to touch and just remember, like, I'm safe. That's a samskara, that's a vision, that's a memory, And so that's kind of how this started. And that's how I related to that. If it's helpful for you, use it if you want, use it if not, but guys can see if that relates in any way. That I think we are responding to the grievance, to the pain that we felt when we heard these stories about what it means to stand out, what it means to be unique, what it means to represent, what it means, because that was Jesus's whole message. Is exactly what we're trying to extend right here, right now. And look what happened. So of course the mind is like, yeah, look what happened. That's what happens to those people. That's what happens when they say that. That's what happens when they do that. They lose their license. They go to court. Someone throws their mugshot on Facebook. Look what happens. That's what happens. You're going to lose everything. People are going to think you crazy. They're not going to listen to you, right? Tell me if I'm wrong, because because I don't want to feel alone in this. I think that's part of the human experience. And it took me a couple of years. And some of these gals were here with me. They watched what that did to me. I mean, I had an intense bout with sciatica at that same exact time. Matter of fact, the day I paid the $2,000 for the Facebook ads, I couldn't sit. I didn't sit for 16 weeks after that. And it took 6 months of pain, and it took about a year to recover. And it took me 3 days to drive 6 hours to host a retreat. And they held me in the water. They did, like, it was intense. Did some intense stuff. And that came from fear. I'm going to be arrested. I'm going to be beaten. I'm going to be hung or burnt. Whatever it is. Like, even though intellectually it didn't make sense, right? Because we have freedom of speech, or we thought we had freedom of speech. Don't you dare say anything today, but we thought you can't have an opinion anymore. But so even what's coming out, like in that broad scope of whether it's black, white, president, whatever it is, there is no safety in voicing. Would you all agree that that's now there is a new scar in us of what happens when you speak, what happens when you express. I just questioned. My expression was questioning. I was like, I'm trying to make sense of this. Whoa, I had 200 or like, I don't know, 163 or 263 comments, like from highly intelligent people and some doctors and some like friends. And I lost, like, they deleted me, and I'm dangerous because I questioned a thought. I was like, I'm having this thought. I'm just curious. I am like a dangerous being for even thinking. And so, of course, Chantel, like that. And it does feel lonely. It does feel isolating. And all you can see are the 5 people who deleted you. Can't see the 100 people who are supporting you. Because the brain is always looking for, it's trying to stay alive. And it doesn't feel like you're staying alive when you got 5 people who are like hating on you or throwing your mugshot or doing whatever it is they're doing about you, right? Threatening you. And then the threat is in the disconnection. You're going to be outcast. You're going to get the scarlet letter. You're going to get there. Like, we're going to throw the stones at you. I don't think fear stops me as much as unworthiness and shame. I'm not afraid of controversy. I kind of enjoy a debate. I think for me, it's more an unconscious shame and unworthiness. Yeah. And so I still think it's this, I think it's, and guys, maybe you can relate, maybe you can't, and then we have 3 minutes left. So I'm watching the time. I am seeing this little tiny bird. Like, I can feel the heartbeat of the bird. Like, it doesn't have all its hair. It's this real fragile, or a little kitten. It's this timid, it's this inner child that either did not get what it needed, never connected, or was becoming and then was stopped. But it's feeling like a pulse that wants to come on board. It's feeling like, I don't know, I had a frog that was in my house, and I brought it out. I catch frogs and bring them outside. I don't know why they love my house, and it was like dusty. So it didn't, but I could see it was still alive every once in a while. And so I like put it in the bird bath, and I just put some water. And when I put my finger, like with the water, that happened, that came on board, and it jumped and it went. And I'm envisioning that part of us, that living entity inside of us that's bringing whatever it is into the world as the expression, as our role. It was breathing into life, and it was stunted and stopped and belittled or protected. It's not safe. You shouldn't. You got to be, it's like whatever it was. And it's our role right now to nurture it, to bring it on board, to find the safe container where it can pulsate into reality. And that's the how to create it. Choosing that beat, that heartbeat, choosing that rhythm, that uniqueness, that identity. Does anybody care to share? Does that feel like, I feel like that's.
I was just trying to type in, but my fingers aren't fast enough. That feeling of not being safe. I think that we were taught maybe from a place of good intent, in my opinion, that it wasn't safe for us, but really it wasn't safe for them. They were the ones who didn't want to have change. They were the ones who didn't want their systems and thoughts disrupted. So they tried to keep us in the box. But that wasn't the safest place to be.
And it's all they had and all they knew, right? Because they didn't want us to experience something dangerous or something, and they weren't able to experience, so they didn't know. I think there's a lot to that, because we can see that with our children, right? I see that with my clients when they're like, Kim, stop saying the F word. Peggy's like, oh, now she's like letting it go. I can see it. And I think that I have that conflict. I have 6/6 in my, my actual life's purpose, my work. And it's conflict so that I can come to diplomacy and peace. And so for me, it's not even about it being a curse word that is like so disgruntled. It's about shocking. It's about like, how can I create that so that we can get that attention, so we can like, hey, whew, now come back down. It's something in that, like, it's like, and then having an open throat, it just comes out. It's like, it all rhymes, or I say crazy things, and you got to like write it down, because I'm very aware that I have open ajna head and open throat. And so I'm connected, and I just say what comes, but I don't retain it. I live it. I become it. I integrate it. Does that make sense? I integrate the experience, but they write down. I was like, you better write that down, because it's just gone. It's like one of these. And so I'm learning how to live as myself, which is like a berry picker. So I go out and I get a whole bunch of berries, and then I deliver them. And if I try to hoard the berries, or if I try to freeze them and make a pie later, or if I don't share it, right, it's not as good. Like, it's iced, or it doesn't have taste, or it's not voluptuous. It's not delicious as it is in present time. And so that's like even my battle with humanity and spirituality, is like really coming into my role and creating something that's really easy, that flows, and yet it's stable and grounded, and it allows everyone to be their unique self, their identity. That's my creation. That's my vision, is like, I don't know, I'm willing to be surprised on how we can continue to grow this. And all of those who step into their authority and the part they're going to play in it, permission to play. There's no boss here. We're actually exploring the dynamics of life and humanity, and stepping into our birthright of abundance. But in order to receive the abundance, we have to be in the alignment, and the abundance will come easy. So if you guys are struggling financially or occupationally, and you are not serving in a way that is serving back, then just know that this is the process to unveil what's in the way. And we're seeing a lot of us holistic people coming on board, but it still feels like we're like jumping off the high diving board, going first. And like Chantel said, as soon as we express, we're back at the top of the crab pot. I'm not sure, Mallory may know what episode that is on the podcast, but there's one about the crab pot, about leadership, about rising, and then finding yourself alone. And so we tend to go back to the old habits and behaviors where the crabs are. Like, we go back, either they pull us down, they want it, but it's more comfortable. So that's one. And the other one for Kelly Marie is episode 35, is the transition of transformation. And so it's that I'm not her anymore, and I'm not her yet. And so it's like, whoa, it's a dance between both. That's the presence. We're all a bunch of dusty frogs thirsting for water. All right, my friends, I don't want to take too much more of your time. I want to make sure that we keep this legit and within the hour. Next week, we're going to pull it all together. She said transformation, episode 48. So 35 and 48 of the More Than Mindset podcast discuss this. It kind of goes along with the book, but in a different story. And so now that we know the 5 steps, how to create, that's your job this week, is to choose, commit, cultivate, continue doing all of the steps. And let's see what this evolves to. So the goal is to live your life's legacy. That's your uniqueness. What do you offer the world that no one else can offer? As an integrated being on all levels: mental, emotional, physical, occupational, intellectual, financial, spiritual, environmentally, in your natural essence. That's the key word. It's your naturalness. of your deepest sacred soul essence, your naturalness. And then you will be in that ease, flow, and freedom. And can you imagine a world of that being reflected? That's why we have to really work on the ability to receive. Because once you step into that ease and flow, your brain will jack it up because it wants to go back to the problems. And so you have to have the tools to come back to receive, receive, receive. And that's where that worthiness and that releasing that shame and stepping into this meanness. Like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay for me to be me. It's okay for me to receive. I am worthy. I am all that. Hell yeah. Not too much, just enough. All right. Pick it up in the More Than Mindset group. If y'all want to continue the conversation. This was great. Thanks for your input. Oh, there's our advertisement. All right, Peggy, I know you're watching the replay. She wasn't sure she was coming on, so I take note that we're holding her. You got something, Kelly Marie? I see you unmuted.
Oh, no. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.